quarterbacks who have rushed for 4,000 yards. The others being Steve Young, Randall Cunningham, and Michael Vick.
Yep, love that. Great stuff from Will Selva there. We're talking about, Mike Garafolo. We haven't seen him in a while, catching up here at the breakfast table. So, Will, great report from you.
Papa.
And we'll check in with you soon. Joining us now from Good Morning Football Weekend. You can see it every Saturday morning. It is Mike Garafolo back at last. Where you been, buddy?
I'm so sorry. Between the move, the baby, all this other stuff. I'm sorry. I'm so happy to be back here, though.
Things are good, though?
Things are great. Things are great. Just left that little squirt at home and left Jess at home. She was going to come and see you guys.
Oh.
She's getting, of all the things that she's been through, okay, 9 months of pregnancy, C-section, all this stuff. Yeah. I think the worst thing for her might be maternity leave. I don't know. She's cooped up.
She wants back in.
Bouncing off the wall. She's ready to go. Yeah. It's a 4 to 6 week recovery process, so they won't let her practice yet.
She's on the pup.
She's on the pup. Yeah. We'll activate her probably sooner than we should. She's got to get back, but she's been awesome.
Look at pictures, Jess, sending you guys love. I'm sure you're watching at home from the GMFB family. I want to talk about something that's not so great, and it is the state of the New York Giants. So Ben McAdoo, his future already sort of in question before this weekend. Then they go, of course, and they lose to a team that could not get a win all year. Any update on what's going on over at MetLife?
So you saw the statement yesterday from John Mara and Steve Tisch, the joint statement that wasn't a show of support necessarily, but more a let's check in with us. Anytime you get that show of support, it's the dreaded public show of support. And they didn't even go. It was down the middle, but it basically said check back with us on New Year's Day after this is all said and done. And I tweeted this out yesterday, and I caught some heat from people because they took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Tom Coughlin was fired after the Jacksonville game in 2014. They had 4 games left. John Mara admitted a couple weeks later, I was ready to fire everybody. They went 3-1 down the stretch. He saved his job. Now, part of that was also Odell Beckham was lighting things up, and they said, well, let's keep this thing consistent for Beckham and all that stuff. So I don't see that right now with this team. But the point is, they've got 7 games left, and unlike a lot of teams, the Giants like to make their decisions after the season. And right now, if we press John Mara, he might have one decision, but after the season, he might have another one. So there's an opportunity here for Ben McAdoo to save his job. That's all I'm saying.
You covered this team for a decade for the Star-Ledger.
Yeah.
You are a Giants beat reporter. You're known for that before you got to this NFL Network job. So I ask you, all the leaks coming out, the anonymous quotes from players, and everyone that's not the Giants' way. It hasn't ever been that way. Is this a unique deal for you?
You get that every now and then. What I do know is I think they've got a pretty good idea for who's on board and who's not on board. And you heard the players last week. I thought this was interesting.
Landon afterwards, the support from McAdoo.
Well, there's a lot of support. Landon Collins, Justin
Snacks Harrison.
Snacks Harrison tweeted out yesterday.
Names.
Benny with the good hair, I think he said. There is a lot of support amongst those guys. And those are guys that are key guys. But the point that I was going to make was all those guys last week kept saying, well, it seems like it's coming from the defensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, the defense. And I was like, how did you get that from those anonymous quotes? And that's the point that I'm trying to make is I think they know who it is what I'm trying to say. Because there was nothing in the quotes that told you that these were defensive quotes. This whole Giant situation, I would expect after the season, I believe there's going to be changes in the front office. And I think that could be interesting because there's a couple. Dave Gettleman is out there. He's available. He was with the Giants. Not like he got fired in Carolina because of results. It was other issues that led to that. So you could sell that to your fan base. Hey, here's a guy who was successful as a general manager. Was here when we made several Super Bowls. So that's a possibility there. I'll throw another one out. Scott Pioli was a guy they wanted to interview before they hired Jerry Reese. And now after things didn't go as well in Kansas City.
But a Scott Pioli, Josh McDaniels tandem once again could not be the worst idea.
That would, I mean, if they make the move for the coaching staff, I would say Josh McDaniels would be a hot candidate for that coaching job.
Okay. Let's stay in the NFC East and talk Cowboys. Now we know they lost to the Falcons first game without Ezekiel Elliott, and they had some other key losses in that game that they weren't playing with. Tyron Smith, Sean Lee. Can you tell us a little bit more about those guys?
Tyron is extremely questionable for this week, from what I've heard. I've heard one person say that they think he'll be back. Another person said not expecting him back this week. So we'll see as the week goes on with him. Yeah. Obviously, that would be a huge loss. Sean Lee could be at least a couple of weeks from what I was told. And there's not that much time left in the season. So now you're talking about if starts to come into the and that's a huge factor to lose him. I do know also that there was a lot of frustration in that locker room with the lack of adjustments to help out with the loss of Tyron Smith
Right.
to help out Chaz Green. Where was the slide, the
Right.
chip, all this stuff, and why can't you make that adjustment in the middle of the game? So
It was odd, right?
It was odd.
Some help in the middle of the game.
And players
Somebody over
notice
there.
that.
I know. I thought so too.
Players on both sides of the ball do notice that and say, what are we doing out there? Like, we know if it's a defensive player, we know how they're attacking. We know what we would do.
Right.
And then we know that we might see some help. So I just know that there was a lot of frustration there. And you wonder if this team doesn't start to win, how these frustrations will start to manifest themselves down there.
Fascinating ongoings in Minnesota. All right, so Case Keenum is on this winning streak. He throws 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But Teddy Bridgewater is now healthy. He is now active. And Coach Zimmerman is very, very coy about what he's going to do. So what are you hearing? Is there a chance they would actually take Case Keenum out as a starter?
Yesterday he said, I haven't made a decision yet, so I want to talk to the parties involved, which sometimes is a tip-off that they're going in another direction. Tom Pelissero, our Tom Pelissero was in Minnesota. We were texting yesterday. I was like, there's no way, he's taking Case Keenum out right now. And Case Keenum, my bad, dude. I think I used the word game manager on the air the other day. My bad. That was not game management.
4 touchdown passes.
That was
A lot
good
of
for you, brother.
leapfrogging.
Good for you. So I know that they are very eager to get Teddy on the field, and they want it to happen before the end of the season.
Right.
But you're not going to do it right now. You can't do it right now.
Describe being a new dad in one word.
Describe what?
Being a new dad in one word.
Bonkers.
It's a good word.
What'd you have
That's a
for me?
clip I hope you
started-
have
yeah.
to show.
Go ahead, go for it.
I was just going to ask you what you thought of the Panthers last night.
I thought the Panthers were fantastic.
Bonkers?
Bonkers. No. This defensive side of the ball has been, we talked about it a little bit on the air the other day. They have been fantastic with Steve Wilks. You heard Sean McDonough say on the broadcast last night, expected to be in the head coaching search circle.
One of Schrager's ones to watch. Week 1.
Fantastic. Peter Schrager way ahead of it. Somebody compared him to Mike Tomlin, the way that he gets guys and he leads guys and they're able to play for him. And he commands respect. He preaches accountability. He's not afraid to get after guys, unlike some guys in this league. So a hot head coaching candidate.
He was such a good defensive back coach that he interviewed for 2 head coaching positions last year as a defensive back.
Not even a coordinator.
Not even the coordinator.
And now the
he's
coordinator. And they've got, listen, they've had continuity on that staff. Linebackers coach Al Holcomb, who you know, I covered him with the Giants. I heard Luke Kuechly last night had an interception, again saying, oh, Al Holcomb talked about that route all week long. So they've got great continuity there from Wilks to Holcomb to Eric Washington, the defensive line coach. This defense is playing extremely well. Number 1 in the league still.
What are you doing after this? Going right home?
Yeah, I got to go burp a baby.
Want to say?
No, I'll stay.
Want to play round of Plinko?
Well, you said, I would love to, and you
See
said
that
it on the
Plinko
air.
board over there?
Yeah,
Let's play.
Sucker.
Let's play.
So fun.
Sorry, Jess. I'll be home in a bit.
Be home in just 5 minutes later. I shouldn't have done that.